everybody, how you doing? Welcome back. Today we are in the wormery. Forgive me, I've not been on and not posted anything for a week, but it has been full of events. I wish I had brought my camera in here a few days ago. The power tripped in the storeroom and I came out. I hadn't noticed it tripped, and as I walked in here, and at 11 o'clock at night, the light and the AC was off, and or one of the lights were off, but I could see worms up on the edges of here and the other end as I walked in. So I panicked immediately, as usual, came in and found just literally hundreds of worms just bundled, maybe thousands of worms bundled around the edges, up along the walls. So I panicked, came in. There were a whole bunch of worms stuck to the underside of this plastic, this bubble wrap, and I immediately tried to take it off, but then thought, oh my god, there's worms stuck in there, and started to spray it down, and then realized all the water in the pipes are hot. So I then ended up going into my deep freeze in the house, where I always have extra bags of ice, and literally dumped about 20 liters of ice all on top of it, and sprayed it down, got it to melt, and loosely covered it, and sprayed the worms that were in the corners. And trust me, I had been panicking, but luckily I came back the next morning and they were cool. The temperature was fine, there was no issues going on, so it's all good. And it was just 3 reasons. Obviously, with the AC being off, it shouldn't have been too much of a problem, but I had buried watermelon in here the week before, and I had put this bedding on which had coffee grinds in it. This bedding that was used, which is the substrate for the mushrooms, it had tons of coffee grinds in there, undecomposted. So it was yeah, it just heated up, and the guys just went, they freaked out and went to the edges. So that was cool. Look at all these watermelon seedlings. There's tons of them, tons. Which brings me to something I am going to try in a few days. And watch this space. I'm going to add some fresh bedding in here. And I'm going to add fresh bedding in here. And we're going to give them the feed. So that's going to be this video. It's not going to be a very long one, although I've been talking like an idiot for the last few minutes non-stop. If you haven't done so already, make sure you like, hit the subscribe, ring the notification bell, show your boys some love. You know what to do. And we are going to I'm going to have a little chat with you, because things are changing for me again. So I built this CFT because I had issues with space. And also I need to create a lot of castings for my garden. In between that, stuff that I haven't been putting onto this channel, and the reason why I removed... Oh, sorry, I was just lifting this. The reason why I removed or changed the name of the channel from Tolga's Kitchen Playground to Tolga's Worm Playground was because I didn't want to have a mix-mash of like 100 different things on this channel. I wanted it to be for worms, a couple of handy bits like this, and the garden, stuff that was all pertinent to these guys. And I was looking at biochar because I've been doing biochar without knowing for years, since I was a kid. Basically throwing charcoal from the fireplace, like unburnt charcoal from the fireplace, into the compost heap. It's something that my granddad made me do when I was a kid, like 5, 6, 7 years old, and I've done it subconsciously ever since, and I've always had really good results in my gardens. So I was aware of obviously using the potash, which is potassium, but I hadn't really known much about biochar to a deep degree. So I sort of got into that, and I thought to myself, hold on a minute, I can make that. I met a few guys here locally, and then we ended up, literally within the space of a couple of days, we ended up taking a decision to start a biochar business, which is crazy. So I'm just going to dump this stuff on, because otherwise I'll be talking for an hour and you guys won't see anything happening. This is it's not fresh. It's been around since I made this CFT, but it's wet because I moistened it down. I'd washed it down with some worm tea and just added a bit more water to it because I want it wet actually. Yeah, so I ended up starting this biochar business, and we officially launch in a few weeks' time. You can see how wet this is. Look how much water is dropping out of here. I want this moisture basically because I want it to. I want to promote I want some moisture to go through because obviously it's difficult to keep moisture in these things, and it's been hot. And I want to experiment with something in a few days' time. So I want this to sort of drop all of its water down below, and then just oops, there. Yeah, that's super wet. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Basically, I was looking at ways of how to create myself a market where there is no market, where there is a lack of education and a lack of understanding of vermicompost and worm castings and worms. And if I did want to do this as a business, it's going to take me a long time to try and get that sort of base for people to understand and to promote the benefits of worm castings and keeping stuff out of the landfill using worms, composting worms. So I said, how could I find ways to create myself an industry, even if it means I'm buying for myself to create another product that is maybe easier for me to explain to people. And biochar, because you use the worm castings in the inoculation process, not only from the worm tea, but also for mixing with the biochar for its inoculation, as well as the compost, as well as coffee grinds for the nitrogen, as well as a calcium source. So so I basically just created my own industry to be able to sell my own product to myself, and then at the same time, in parallel, continue to build this business and this industry. I can't help myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I try to find, I'm always looking for something how to make a buck, right? So anyway, so these guys are going to move in the next couple of weeks. They're going to move on site, where they will go into big 1-ton bags. They're going to be divided into, there must be 12,000 worms in here at the moment. I might take out 10,000 worms and leave the rest in here, but I might just take the whole thing and see how we get on, because I've still got my other bins, and then I'll do breeder bins here in the wintertime. Regardless, so this is going to move. So the videos will come from a new location. I'm going to have a slightly bigger space, but not that much bigger, because anyway, we'll get to that when we'll reach that when we get there. But yeah, so this is the process. This is the idea. So it's interesting. I'm excited. I've been working really hard over the last couple of weeks to get all that up and running. I did drop a few hints with asking about people using biochar and stuff. So there will be some videos of that. You'll notice there is actually some biochar in this bedding here, because I used the water from the biochar to inoculate this. So it's just so yeah, sometimes you just need to, you need to be able to pivot, as they say. That was a word that was used a lot after COVID. You'd be able to pivot, change direction, be agile. So yeah, that was the situation, and I'm happy actually. So I'll be able to make mass castings there off-site, and then I can bring it back home to use in my garden, which is not an issue. It creates and allows me to have some space in the storeroom. It gives me a actual worm setup somewhere else, which is great, and I can have the staff and my guys basically feed them and water them every day and put the bedding as necessary. And yeah, that's going to be the process. But in the meantime, before these guys move, we're going to have one last experiment in this bin. I'm so excited about it, and I'm going to record that video, if not tomorrow, the day after, and hopefully the end of that video will be the following week. Fingers crossed, if all goes well. So on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you have had a chance to play around with biochar. I know a few of you answered in the community questionnaire, community poll a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, well, if you just want to say hi, big love as always. Be good. Hope you guys are having a good week, and I shall see you guys again soon.